Good day, students. I welcome you to another class. So today we are going to be looking at value in the real estate sector. Excuse me. Value in the real estate sector. And I hope we are all doing fine, and I hope we are all ready for the class. So let's go into the class proper. So today we are considering value in the real estate sector. So by way of introduction, value is perceived to be a concept. Value is perceived to be a concept, and we have various people have meaning to what value is. So they perceive value differently, or we perceive value differently. So in other words, we can say that concept of value lies in the heart of basically the way economists will view value is quite different from the way philosophers will view value, the way a businessman will view value, and also somebody in the real estate sector. Somebody in the real estate sector. So basically, I would like to establish that value is expressed as the worth, importance, or utility that is attached to an object, a service, or a principle. Let me come again. I can liken the value to be is an expression of worth, importance, or utility that is attached to an object, a service, or a principle. So basically, in economics, value often means the market worth of goods and services that is determined by the demand and supply. So that is the way economists view value. They view value as the market worth of goods and services that is determined by the forces of demand and supply. And also philosophers see value, they refer value as what? As moral, ethical principles that guide human behavior. That is the way philosophers view value. But in real estate, we we see value as the present worth of future benefits derived from ownership or use of land and building. In real estate, we perceive value to be the present worth of future benefit derived from ownership or use of what? Land and building. And we want to ask ourselves, like, okay, why value? Why is value so, important to us, even in real estate? Value is very important because in a way it determines our property pricing. So if you want to do anything on property now, the first thing they will ask you, oh, what is the value of this property? So we so much value, we so much prioritize value. Let me put it that way, because it helps in determining what our property pricing. Even in terms of taxation, you still need value. In terms of compensation, you need value. In mortgage lending, you need value. Even in insurance, you also need value. And also it's because value in a way influence our decision that is used by individuals, corporation, governments, investors. And also, we've seen value to reflect our own social culture significance, even beyond, even beyond land, even beyond land. We've seen it as what? As social and cultural what? Significance. For example, just for a proper understanding, um, let me see. Okay, probably a two-bedroom flat. I don't know if you are familiar with Lagos very well. Probably a two-bedroom flat may be valued for what? 50 million, probably as a result of the demand and the location. While a similar, the same two-bedroom flat in a rural area might be valued less, maybe in terms of maybe 10 million or 5 million. Yet, the social value of the one at that rural home may be what? May be higher. May be higher to the owner because of the what? Because of the heritage of the family ties. We can say probably this is applicable to people that come from the, eastern parts. They will prefer to retain the one in the village because of what? Prestige, because of what? Social value. So basically, we can say that value forms our what? Our decision. So it's a tool for what? Is a tool for decision for us. So let's briefly look into what value is in real estate. And I would like to sign a note of warning that value is not the same thing as price, and price is not the same thing as cost. Please, I want to come again. Value is not the same thing as price, and price is not the same thing as cost. So price, what is price? Let's start from that. So we can say price is the what? The actual, well, let me put it this way, that price is what is actually paid for, the actual amount paid in a transaction. For example, if you buy, probably if a buyer pays 12 million for a property that is listed as maybe 15 million, you have a discounted price. You have a discounted price of how much? You have a discount of 3 million. So the amount you pay for, the actual amount you paid for, despite the fact that, okay, probably they have a selling price of 15 million, but you are paying 12 million. The 12 million you paid at that time of transaction is what? Is your price. Is your price. So what is the cost? So we can say that the cost is what? The total expenditure on land acquisition and construction. Everything that is spent from acquiring of land to till finishes, till you dispose it. The cost that is spent, every penny that is incurred, probably in construction. For example, a house that is built for 8 million, which shows that everything that made up that house in terms of costing, in terms of expenses that are incurred, is worth 8 million naira. 8 million naira. Now, what is value? What is value? Value is the estimated worth that is based on utility, the demand, the location, even the future benefits. Even the future benefits. For example, the same house that is valued at 10 million, which is due for what? Rental income, that has rental income potential, that will still be what? Will still be factored in. That is what value is. That is what value is. Estimated cost worth. Estimated worth. Estimated worth. It is what value is. So we don't look at just the present condition. We will still be futuristic, even in arriving at value. Even as it is now, what benefits can I get in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? That is why this rental potential is coming in. So we are not looking at it as that today that I want to buy. There are some intrinsic value that I cannot see, that I know it has potential of what? Of giving to me, even in the years to come. Even in the years to come. And at the same time, I would like to say that value is an opinion based. It's not and it's dynamic in nature. It's an opinion based on evidence and assumption. It is dynamic in nature, it is not fixed, which shows that it can change what? At any time. So many factors will have been responsible for the changes, which we are still going to be looking at as time goes on. So let's look into various types of value. Let's look into various types of value. So for the first one, we have market value. I know you might have been hearing, oh, market value, market value. Yes, we have market value. So what is market value? So we can say that market value is the most preferable price, the most preferable price a property will fetch in an open and in a competitive market. So we can say that market value is what? The most preferable price a property would fetch in an open and a competitive market. So, well, for example, we can say a 3-bedroom apartment, maybe in Abuja, that is put for sale at 40 million. And similar properties to such such an apartment in the same area is going within for maybe 38 to 42 million. 38 to 42 million. But at that time, we at this period we have a range of what? 38 to what? To 42 million. So we can say that at that time the market value is what? 40 million. This is the value that is being put for sale at this time, despite the fact that, okay, we have some for 38 and we have another one for what? For 32. This is the lower range, this is the higher range. Probably they were just thinking of, okay, we don't want to go low, we don't want to go high, let's just be at the average. So for them to be at the average, taking this 40 million naira, this shows that this is the what? This is the market value. This is what? This is the market value. Then we also have another one. We have use value. Use value, or we can say it can also be called utility value. It can also be called utility value. So we can say this is a worth of a property for a specific use to the current owner or the user. That is the worth. That is the worth. For example, we can say a petrol station, a petrol station site. It may have higher use value to an oil company. Yes. Yes. Than what? Than its market value. Because of the what? Because of the location and advantage. So that is what use value is. What use value means. Use value means. Then another value is we have investment value. Investment value. So as the name implies, so this is the value of a property that is attached to specific investors based on the return they are going to get, putting into consideration the risks and some objectives. So we can say investment value. Where an example for that is well, a developer may value an old warehouse at maybe for 100 million. So in his mind, he's looking for a conversion of what? Into a shopping mall. Into a shopping mall. So he has looked beyond, oh, this is an old warehouse. An investor will not look at it like, oh, this is an old warehouse. An investor will be thinking of, I can now turn this old warehouse into a property that will be commanding a higher return for me. Or into a shopping mall or into a supermarket that will be commanding what? A higher rent for me. Even more than what I'm having as what? As 100 million. So if you can command like maybe 150 million for me, it shows that the 50 million extra on top is what? Is the investment what? Investment return. Is the investment return. Then we also have what we call rental value. Rental value. So as the name implies, this is the amount of periodic income, which is always in form of rent a property can generate. Which form of rent a property can generate. So if you are asking for, what is the rental value of a maybe 2-bedroom flat in Agbowo, what do you need to do? The only thing you need to do is just carry out your market survey and know the rent passing know the rent passing in that area. For example, maybe a residential duplex in Ikoyi, of course, they have a rental value of maybe 15 million annually. While a similar duplex in Ibadan may yield what? 3 million. Can you see the differences in the rental value? That's the differences between the two. So an income generating potential property, what they command is what? Rental value. So far you are generating income. So far you are getting return in terms of what? In terms of rent. Then we also have insurance value. Insurance value. I think in the last class I was telling you that under insurance value we have two values that we always look out for in real estate. Either we look out for restatement value or indemnity value. Restatement, indemnity value. And this value basically they just to secure cover, especially when you pay premium yearly to secure cover. If you lose anything, probably as a result of fire outbreak, accident, you are entitled to a cover in as much as what your car is insured, your company is insured, whatever loss you experience, such a property is what is insured. That is why what you insuring your property is very important. Then we have taxation value also. I was saying it in the last class that we have so many taxes. We have them tenement tax, land use charge, all our rates, and then I was saying the other time that most of the time they capitalize on before they can even ascertain your tax. They are going to carry out evaluation to even know the worth of your property. Okay, what is the market value for this property? So that we'll know, okay, what are we even charging our percentage against? What are we charging it against? Then we also have our social/cultural value. I think I explained this earlier, that a house that is maybe in your village that the value is 30 million, and you have another one in Ikoyi. You are both staying there. If you go to the village, but because you want everybody to know in your village that, oh, I have a house here, I have a mansion here. That is why most people will keep their house. They might not even be getting any return from it. They might not even be, investing anything on it. but there's a prestige that comes with, oh, I have a house in the village, or it is only my house that is the most beautiful house in this area. What such house is enjoying is what is the social value, is the social value. So this one is actually a non-monetary. It is non-monetary, and most of the time it is always attached to heritage, always attached to religious properties, cultural properties, our ancient houses, for example, like the four-story building in Nigeria. So the kind of value that we have is what? Is social or cultural value. Probably you have all these ancient houses. Oh, this is the first duplex in my village. They will want to, in fact, let the house look anyhow. They want to keep that house like, this is historical in a way. This is historical in a way. Then another one we'll be considering is also personal or psychological value. Well, let me liken this to maybe you buying a car, and then I love this car. Why? Because it's my first car. Hey, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. This car really means a lot to me. Hey, you understand? So what is being attached, the emotion that is being attached to the car made you to place a higher value on it. The value that can be likened to, a psychological value in a way. The same thing with land. The same thing with properties also. An example we can have under this is probably a family house that you inherited from your great grandfather. You will put a psychological value on it to the extent that you will want to keep that house. You want to what? You want to keep that house at all costs. Or probably you just bought your new house for the fact that this is the first new house that we ever buy. You will take care of it like anything. You even tell them, this one, I did this one, I did that, I did what the value you are just trying to place on such a property is what? Is personal or psychological value. So let's try to differentiate between the just few of them, like the few values. So let's just try to juxtapose market value with use value. As I said earlier, that market value basically is the open market worth. So the example that I cited the other time, the example of a 3-bedroom flat in Abuja, and they decided, okay, they've done their sales comparison and they are just looking for value for such a property. They know that, okay, in the same neighborhood, we can get as low as maybe 38 million. We can get as high as 42 million, just to be on the safer side. Then you decided to place the 40 million. So it is the market value that you are placing on it at that particular time. But the use value is what? As I said earlier, as at that time, the worth of what the property has to what? To the current owner and the user. In fact, don't be shocked that, okay, the example I cited earlier about the petrol station value is always higher to the oil company than the market suggested. Why? Because an oil company will value a petrol station more than any other person. Why? Because this is my instrument. This is what I use. So in a way, I have to put value on it. I have to attach value to it. Another person, probably a construction company, there's nothing, he's not attaching any use to petrol station. So you might not even see the usefulness, might not even see the value. So we shouldn't mistake market value to use value. Then another one is our investment and rental value. Please note that even despite the fact that the rental value in a way is has an element of investment, you shouldn't see it as investment value. Investment value, as I said earlier, that investment value is the word that is attached to a specific investor. A specific investor. In fact, another person might see this warehouse and say, oh, well, warehouse, as far as I'm concerned, is an old warehouse. There is nothing I can do with it. But an investor will see it and say, I can make additional 70 million out of this now. I can convert this into a supermarket. I can convert this into a shopping mall. That is when we are placing an investment value on a property. On a property. But in terms of rental value, you are not thinking of, oh, am I getting any profit on it, or am I making a conversion or anything? But it's just that you've seen you have the property already that will be giving you a periodic rental income, or that has the potential to give you a periodic rental income. A periodic rental income. So it's quite different from the investment angle. Even though an investor or anyone building or constructing a house to let or to sell, definitely we see that person as an investor. You see that person as an investor, that, oh, this person is putting money in order to generate a periodic. But the investment might not necessarily not to be periodic. It might not be periodic. It might just needed to put some things in shape in order for the person to, okay, let me sit back and see what I can generate from this, which might not be periodic. Then we also have some determinants of real estate value. We have some determinants. I know it's most of my explanation you might have I might have said some. The most important one, and that is glaring, is what? Location. Location. So location remains what? The most paramount. In fact, the first determinant. You know, I was citing an example of Ikoyi the other time, and Ibadan. The same property, in fact, the same finishing, everything. The only thing is just the only determinant that will determine the value of this property is what? Is location. For example, how do they say it? A mansion, a mansion in a ghetto is what? Is ghetto. There was one property like that wanted to sell at Ogun State, Ota. This property is beautiful, fine, and on point. And at the end of the day, I think they're asking for maybe 40 million or so. And in my mind, I was thinking, if this beautiful house can just be even in a closer by like Ikeja, don't even let us go to Lekki. It will have even commanded maybe 150, 200. Can you see how location can determine real estate value? So location is what? Is very what? Paramount. Location is very paramount. Another thing that determines value is demand and supply. Demand and supply. If there is need for example, maybe UI hostel, when they know that the rate at which students are looking for maybe 1 bedroom or mini flat, the rate, in fact, an investor or a manager at the back of his or her mind, we know that this is an avenue for me to increase my rent or increase my value. Because at the end of the day, the forces of the market will make you to push to push your value up. And when you push your value up, what will happen? Even though you will still see people that will still go for it. That is one thing about it. You still see people that will still go for it. So when the demand is on the high side, then people will be thinking of, oh, I can now supply this in the market, and definitely we affect value. We affect value. Then another determinant is what? Utility. Utility. So utility has to do with the functionality of the property. The functionality of the property. For example, a commercial property with parking space, modern facilities will command what? Higher value compared to the one that you start looking for where to park, or the one that you need to pay. You need to pay some people to watch over your car than the one that has its own parking, ambience, and all that. It will definitely command value. So the functionality of a property determines the value that you place on such a property. That you place on such a property. Then another determinant is we can say legal or political. So basically, land under dispute or land under litigation commands was lower value, or area that have security threats, or area that are not secure. What will happen? It won't have higher value. It will not. It will not. But areas that the security is secure, you have soldiers watching everywhere. You have CCTV camera everywhere. The serene, the sanity even in that area on its own. Naturally, there will be what? There will be some value that will be attached to such a property. There will be some value that will be attached to such a property. And also, economic climate, very important, economic climate. So, in terms of inflation, unemployment, our interest rates, definitely affect our affordability. It affects it. It affects our affordability. How we can even afford what? Afford land, or how we can even place value on it. So with high inflation, we should be expecting what? Higher value. With high interest rates, we should be expecting what? We should be expecting higher value. We should be expecting higher value. Then another determinant is the social factor. Another determinant is what? Is the social factor. For example, we can liken the prestige, the heritage I talked about the other time. For example, you owning a land, maybe in Banana Highland, there's a prestige that comes with it. And when you know, oh, almost all the elites in this country are in Banana Island, and you know that all highs in that area, what will happen? Definitely, there's a value that will be attached to you, and the value is going to be high compared to every other area. Then another determinant is time and trend. Time and trend. That is what is happening in Nigeria currently, because it's like Lagos now has I really do not know what is pushing. In fact, rent on its own, I don't know what is pushing the rent just skyrocketing. And the same thing is applicable to Ibadan. Before you know it, to real estate transaction in Ibadan is now to something else. The only thing is just, okay, we are experiencing urban growth, we are experiencing gentrification. So all these things will definitely lead to what? Increase in rapid what? Increase and rapid value in real estate transaction or in real estate sector generally. And then also we have environmental factor. Areas that are faced with so many environmental challenges tend to have lower value. Probably area that the experience occurrence of maybe flooding, earthquake, erosion, pollution. What will happen to such properties around that place? Definitely, they will experience lower value. They will experience what? Lower value. They will experience lower value. So there are some theories of value. There are some theories of value. The first one is the cost approach. Cost approach, please. The cost approach basically has to do with everything, every cost incurred, every cost incurred in putting up a property minus depreciation. Depreciation is what is not included, minus depreciation. Every cost incurred from you acquiring the land to the construction, but minus depreciation. Depreciation will not be included. Then another theory for value is sales comparison. Sales comparison. If you are trying to get your value also, sales comparison can be also used to cross-check or to determine your value. To determine your value. In a situation whereby where we can say that value is derived from sales comparison of property that are recently sold in that area, where you know that, oh, you've carried out your market survey and similar properties to what to the valuation you are to the value you are trying to look for. It has been like probably, for example, that I have here the 30 million, 32 million, 31 million, and at the end of it, you can come up with, okay, I think now that I have you can even add these three together, then divided by 3 to find the average. Then, okay, the sales comparison in this area in the past 6 months, this has been the trend. This has been the outcome. Then this can help you to what you're going to even ascribe your own value to it, to ascribe your own value to it. Then another theory of value is our income capitalization approach. So this one has to do with your rental passing. Rental passing. If you want to get your rental, value, so what you need to do is definitely this will affect your income generated property in terms of rent. So you capitalize on what? On your rental income, or the rent passing. That is what you capitalize on to get your what? To get your value. Then another theory is labor theory. So this idea basically comes from a classical person, a classical theory. So we can liken this to the economist. So we can say that, well, their own value is derived from the labor input. All what they need to, this theory supports that, okay, it is the only thing they are looking for concerning labor theory is the labor input. Is the labor input that is required. Then the last one I will want to discuss is the subjective value theory. So on this, we can say that value is determined by individual perception. That is why it is called subjective. The way I perceive it, the way another person will perceive it, will be different. A luxurious buyer may pay premium on probably a waterfront property, but somebody that is not a luxurious person, you will not even attach any value to it, which is subjective, based on our own on our own preference, and our own speculations. So there are some critical issues. That are attached to real estate value. For example, I was citing an example, the last one I cited, that based on speculations of some butterflies or some bubbles, like, okay, because I'm a luxurious spender, or because I'm a luxurious buyer, which ordinarily shouldn't be. Which ordinarily shouldn't be, should be based on facts. It should be based on some analysis. But no, because I have the money and because I have height for maybe good taste, which ordinary should not be. Then we also have an issue of inequality. Inequality. Now that we now have rising values, rising values. So in a way, to give room to displace low income household, low income household. So that is why people, when you have higher value, before you know it, you just notice that people that now stay in 3 bedroom flats or people that now stay in a duplex are now resorting to maybe mini flat. They are just trying to cut their size because they cannot afford a higher value or a higher rental value. They cannot afford it. They cannot. Then another critical issue is the tenure conflict, especially in Africa, where we have the customary rights conflicting with the statutory valuation. Oh, this is the one you should use, this is the one you should not use. Part of major conflict that is affecting real estate value. The same thing with government acquisition and compensation. The same thing. We often perceive that even with government acquiring such land or such property, that the compensation is not what is not adequate. It's not even enough to reinstate them. It's not adequate enough to reinstate them, which most of the time leads to what? Leads to disputes. Leads to disputes. Then another one is the externalities environmental externalities. So basically, we can say that market value ignores ecological costs. It ignores ecological costs. For example, deforestation of luxurious estates. Deforestation of luxurious estates. Well, I think I saw it today also, where probably some Yahoo guys built an hotel, and at the end of the day, the hotel was asked to demolish. And I know some people were arguing it that it shouldn't be demolished. You can just seize the property and then use the property for something else. Use the property for something else, instead of using that property as, oh, because it's used by a Yahoo guy, then it doesn't have value to the community, or it cannot be used for anything. It shows you don't place value on it. If you place value on it, you should know that such a property can even house homeless children. Such a property can even house people that doesn't have houses. In a situation where we have shortage of houses, we are not saying you should not penalize them. We are not saying you should not punish them, but value should be placed on such a property. So the only thing you will resort to is not demolishing such a property. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be. It should have been used for what? For something else that will benefit what? Probably the community. That will benefit the community. Then the last one I would like to talk about is the cultural blind spot. Cultural blind spot. So, well, this has to do with, I think I discussed this in the last class. So this has to do with our sacred lands, especially um, our forefathers' shrine. Our forefathers' shrine. We don't place, in fact, we undervalued it. And we can't shy away from the fact that this is very crucial to them, and we don't have to undermine whatever they requested for. We should give it to them. Let me put it that way. We should give it to them. So we should not commonize them. So let's look into relevance beyond real estate. because what we've been talking about basically are just value as to real estate, I was saying earlier that to economics, the way they perceive value is quite different from the way people in real estate view value. So now we see beyond just real estate, even in resources allocation, they believe that value is paramount, even in determining prices. In resources allocation, value is one of the key thing. And when you are talking about businesses, in terms of what branding, in terms of goodwill, value is applicable to them also. Is applicable to them. In the last class, we were talking about the intangible assets, which goodwill falls into. Goodwill is beyond real estate, bricks and mortar. It's beyond it, but it has what? It has its own value. It has its own what? It has its own value. And also for philosophy, I told you, all what they view as value is what? Fairness, justice, human dignity. That is the way philosophy sees it. Moral value, comportment, dignity. That is the way what philosophers, that is the way they view what value. And in public policies, in terms of taxation, subsidy, welfare distribution. And so what is the connection between it? There are some connections in it also, because real estate values are, they are intertwined. They have even both with the social and with the ethical value also. They are they incorporate together. We can't shy away from that. So in conclusion, we can say that value is a multi-dimensional and context-dependent concept. So in real estate, it underpins transactions, investment, taxation, policy making. And it has also been established that market value dominates prices, but basically it's also insufficient on its own, because we've seen various types of other value aside market value and also valuation methods that we use, because we have, by the time we move into valuation method, we'll see the methods. We have various types, and each of them has what their own strength and their own weakness, and their application is very critical. And I would like to say also that in terms of sustainability and equity, which is an emerging concept, it is imperative that in defining property value, we need to factor this also, especially sustainability. We need to factor in what this also, just for future practice of valuation generally. So ultimately, value in real estate is more than money. Please, ultimately, value in real estate is more than money. It encompasses what? Heritage, identity, security, and what? And sustainability. So with this, we have come to the end of the lecture. I want to thank you for listening. Thanks for your patience. And if there are any questions, you can drop them at the comment section. I will respond appropriately. So We are going to be meeting next week by God's grace for our physical class. So I think by then we should be able to have our, what's it called, our term paper, so that we'll know where to start from and what we are doing. Thank you very much for listening. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.